A book and a bev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of A Book and a Bev. You're here with your hosts Bryony, Georgia and Ellie, and we are back with part 2 of Sarah J Maas, Kingdom of Ash.
Kingdom of Ass.
Kingdom of
Ass.
Crime.
Yeah, look, there are a lot of ways we could go with it. It's just trauma. Trauma compiled into 900 pages of Rowan's penis, which I will take that any day of the week.
Yeah, in and around everywhere.
All the crevices. Every hole is a goal.
Oh, it
They
is.
say.
We don't know who they are. They are A.
They're us.
They are us.
Oh dear. What are we drinking?
Yeah, I'm still on the fireball and apple juice.
I'm pretty sure what I had last time was like champagne mixed with orange juice. I now have my sparkling bird in hand.
Oh, delish.
Sparkling. If you look at an odd, like, squint really hard and look at it a long distance, it's almost orange. And for some reason that reminds me of fire, and that's Aelin.
But also, it's called bird in hand. You're holding Rowan's dick.
Rowan's in your hand.
Rowan's cock is in my hand.
Yeah.
But only
It's
part
Rowan's
of it.
cock.
It's so big it can't fit.
Uh-huh. There you go.
Yeah, I've got to double palm that shit.
I am just drinking old wine I had in the fridge because I forgot we were recording until about 2 p.m. today. All right, we're all drinking. Here we are. We start part 2 with Dorian, and he is trying his little heart out to change his appearance using his shape-shifting abilities. Like he's trying to tap into that side of himself. So he's trying to change his eyes to green and his hair to blonde, because when he thinks of who he wants to be, he thinks anyone but him, which is sad. But specifically, our most loathed male love interest and lowest tier hair color, the boring white blonde man. He's like, yes, that will do. But the shadows have scouted ahead. So the shadows were like, look, we don't know the name.
They're two twins in the 13. I think it's Edda and Briar.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Their sacrifice is noted, but I forget your name. So they've gone out to scout ahead, and all of a sudden they appear back, and they're like, just a bit stinky up there. Like,
Someone's just ripped a shocking fart.
Yeah.
They fly towards, like, the really gruesome, bloody scene, and the Crocans are like, you trained these witches to be this ruthless. This is your fault. Because I think, like...
The Crocans they were going to find, they've been massacred by Iron Teeth.
Dead. Gone.
Their legs went that way, and then their heads
head went that way.
Head went that way.
Manon ends up feeling guilty for this, which again, Manon, our girl who doesn't feel anything, but
Has
she
a lot of
does.
feelings.
So we get this quote, which is Manon saying, don't burn them. Silence fell in the clearing, but Manon knelt on the festering earth, unsheathed her iron nails, and began digging. Yanking off her gloves, Astrid lowered herself to the ground nearby. Then Sorrel and Vesta and the rest of the 13. The cold, firm earth did not yield easily. It tore at Manon's fingers, root and rock, burning as they scraped at her skin across the clearing. Carson, the witch whose broom Manon had returned, made to kneel as well. But Manon held up a $50 note.
So if you do this, you get this pretty...
$50, bitch.
I know I offered to, like, do some restorative justice, but
no, I
absolutely
can't.
not.
I cannot do it.
Not good for my cuticles.
It's not at all. Across the clearing, Carson, the witch whose broom Manon had returned, made to kneel as well, but Manon held up a filthy, already bleeding hand. The witch halted. Only the 13, Manon said. We will bury them. The Crocans stared at her, and Manon ripped away the ancient soil. We'll bury all of them.
Oh, bless her little wretched heart.
Doesn't offer her $50, a 50 bucker.
No fitties here. So the 13 continue to bury the Crocans all night, and while they do the hard work, Dorian sneaks off to summon Gaza to see if he's ready to go to Morath. Gaza doesn't show up. Instead, Caltaine is there. Like, he's asking her some questions, and she's like, sup? He's like, sorry that I treated you badly when you were a little bitch. And she's like, that's fine. I was a little bitch, so I totally understand that, you know, we live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love.
And we have this moment. Dorian asks her, how did you do it? How did you break free of its control? Okay, the collar. Caltaine studied his neck before she met his stare, because I raged against it, because I did not feel that I deserved the collar. The truth of her words slammed into him as surely as if she'd shoved into his chest.
She actually does just walk up to him and, like, shoves him in the chest. She's like, you stupid bitch.
Dorian ends up apologising to Caltaine, like, for her treatment and what happened to her in Morath. And she tells him what he needs to know and that he's ready to go to Morath. And she tells him that he can shapeshift. He's got all the power. He's just got to let it go. And we get this quote.
Let it go.
Which
let
is literally...
it go.
Literally, the quote starts with, let go. The shifting magic's command. Let go of everything. Let go of that wall he'd built around himself the moment the Vowed Prince had invaded him. And look within, at himself. Perhaps what the sword had asked him to do in summoning Caltaine instead. Who do you wish to be? Someone worthy of my friends, he said into the quiet night. A king worthy of his kingdom. For a heartbeat, snow-white hair and golden eyes flashed in his mind. Happy, he whispered.
Oh my God.
And then as he turns away, he looks back to Caltaine and whispers, the cold never bothered me anyway.
Literally. So when he finishes looking at Caltaine and delivering that solid line, he actually just shifts into a raven. And he's like, oh my God, I have unlocked these magic powers. I have, in fact, let it go. I've gone into the unknown.
He has gone into the unknown. He can't hold it back anymore.
Here I stand in the light of day.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. And then Manon is there and she's like, do you want to build a snowman? I wasn't expecting us to do so many Frozen references today.
That was great.
Oh, thank God I just decided to forego makeup this session because I'm already in tears.
Manon is pissed that, like, Dorian didn't reiterate that he was planning to go to Morath, but, I mean, what was she expecting?
Yeah, they haven't got, you know, honesty
They didn't come
patch.
here to fuck spiders.
Exactly right. Well, we now change chapters and back in Terrasen, and things aren't going that well. Because the armies are slowly failing. It would be like if you put the three of us in an army against maybe even just one person, we would probably very quickly fail. In
Yes.
fact, I would just lay down and pretend to be dead. And I'm sorry. Starfishing is what I know for.
Just imagining it's like a boxing match. Like, we're in a clearly defined ring. There's three of us, just as this one fuck-off person. And Ellie's just, like, the bell's rung and Ellie's lied down.
Ellie's just straight face plant on the floor.
Yeah,
We're like,
sorry.
hey, what are you doing? She's like, I'm dead. Don't know why you're in New Zealand, but...
Ejaculate. Yeah,
Ejaculate. Dead.
yes. So armies are failing. Erewhon is gaining, which is not great. They're planning to retreat back to Paranth. Lysandra, she's in horse form.
She's a
And-
horse girl!
There you go. She's a horse gal. She's brony.
Yeah.
They've been fighting in this battle for a really long time. I mean, it's been a few days. Everyone's very tired. She enters Aedian's tent. And Ren is like, wow, that's a horse.
I kind of forgot that she doesn't shift back. Like, it's literally just her as a horse walking into a tent.
She's
He's
like-
like, what the fuck?
What's up, guys? Did I miss anything important?
It would be even better if when she shifts into animal form, she could speak still as the animal.
Yeah.
That would make my day.
Just starts
Anyway.
neighing. Nay. Looks at Ren. Nay?
She can talk when she's an animal, but when she's a person, she actually makes the noises of animals. So
Yes.
she's human neighing, horse talking.
Oh, brilliant.
No.
Okay. So she's like, oh, yeah, fuck, I'm a horse. So she shifts back into her human form, and Ansel is there, and she's like, oh, come here, gal. Let me wrap you in my cloak because your titties are out. And it's perfect. Gal power. They all leave, and now it's just Aedian and Lysandra. And Aedian is continuing to be a fucking cunt, telling her that her and Aelin's plan was bullshit, and she's fucked, and Aelin is fucked, and he hates that because he is mature. Then he kicks her out naked in the snow. It's kind of like Belle. What's that show? Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, naked
It's
and
like that.
afraid.
Naked and Afraid. And then
Horse girl edition.
oh, skeleton. That would be her face if she was dropped into the snow naked.
I'm already afraid because I'm outside, and then the rest just goes
But
down.
now I'm naked. A beautiful man has just told me to fuck off, and now I'm outside naked. Ren appears with Aedian, and he's like, well, you're a fucking cunt. And we all
Which-
agree with you, Ren.
Yeah. Thank God someone said something because otherwise I was going to have to climb through the book into it and just grab him, maybe make out with him first, and then tell him off.
She's just a kiss. And then...
Anyway, next chapter, Aelin wakes and she's like, is this real life? Because again, trauma. Her flames and magic are basically like dying to be released. We get this little quote, this little moment. She studied the tattoo snaking down the side of his face and neck, vanishing into his dark clothes. I am your mate. She had wanted to believe him, but this dream, this illusion, she'd been spun, not an illusion. He had come for her, Rowan Whitethorn. Now, Rowan Whitethorn Galathinius, her husband and king consort, her mate. She mouthed his name. He had come for her, Rowan. She's like, just imagine her stark as naked, standing over him.
Yeah, so like she goes to look at him while he sleeps, and she's just like, I've missed you, sweetie.
That's what my children do in the middle of the night. They just come and stand over my head and they don't say anything. They just... Also, I had a comment to say here that I really appreciate that they've intermingled their names. Because now he's Rowan Whitethorn Galathinius, and what is she? She's got too many.
Whitethorn Galathinius? I think
it's Whitethorn Galathinius. It's Aelin Ashriver Whitethorn Galathinius.
Princess of Genovia.
Princess of Genovia.
All right. So Aelin is standing over Rowan, and she's quite staunch. And she's actually being like, Rowan, wake the fuck up. And then he opens his eyes and like immediately knows where she is because she's whispering at him quite aggressively to wake the fuck up. And then she asks if Cairn, the city in Queensland, is dead, and Rowan says yes. And she's like, okay, well, how did that happen? And we get one of my favourite quotes of the book. You once told me at Mistwood that if I ever took a whip to you, then you'd skin me alive. His eyes didn't stray from hers, as he said with lethal quiet, I took it upon myself to bestow that fate upon Cairn on your behalf. And when I was done, I took the liberty of removing his head from his body, then burning what remained.
Ooh,
go hard or go home, bro.
Beautiful.
Then we have another heartache. Can I hold you? The stark need in his voice ripped at her, but she stepped back. Don't step back. She scanned the cave, blocking out the way his eyes gutted at her retreat. Across the chamber, the great lake flowed, smooth and flat as a black mirror. I need to bathe, she said. Bathe. Her voice low and raw. Even if there wasn't a mark on her beyond dirty feet, I need to wash it away, she tried again. Understanding softened in his eyes.
They're having this moment, and Ellie's actually in the corner of the cave just whispering at them, being like, no, you're fine. You're fine. Just go. You're fine, babe. Don't mind me. Do kids need a condom? Let me know.
So she goes into this weird-ass lake in the cave, and it's ancient and scary, and I wouldn't go in there if I were her. I would not. But she just dives on in, like heats it up to room temperature, which is a handy trick to have, and just, cracks open a beer, hops back on her flamingo floatie. Such is life. She then asks Rowan...
Living the best fucking life. She's like, bitch, join me, Rowan. Join me.
But don't touch me because trauma still.
Float over there. Just
float
go from about mid-thigh upwards so I can see the goods. Thanks. And turn around, bend over. Nice.
Nice. She asks Rowan how long, and he tells her it's been 2 months, 3 days, 7 hours.
Not that he was counting.
Bless his cotton socks. So she opens up slightly about how everything felt like a dream. She asks about the others, and Rowan explains briefly where everyone roughly was and what they were doing and, all the situations. Aelin's throat bobbed as she whispered, I'm so tired, Rowan. His heart strained again. I know, fire heart.
Oh, no,
pain.
That's too much.
Look, I'm in pain, but I'm also aware we only have like another 700 pages, so I do not have time for Aelin to go through her trauma recovery again. I need romance and happiness and sex and violence, not in that order. There's no time for therapy. We did that in Air of Fire. You're healed. You're fine. Yes, that was traumatizing. I get that. That whole situation with Maeve, but I don't have time for you to be sad. I need you to just stop that man.
Do you remember how you said, and I quote, Oh, my favorite murder, my favorite podcast. And then you said, I like death. And then we said, well, you want death? Well, we'll give you fucking death. You remember? This is death, sadness, depression. That's
but I
what
don't
you get.
I don't want that. I don't. I know it comes hand in hand. My point is, we only have a limited time left in the series. I don't want to spend the rest of this book with Aelin being traumatized. I want it to spend it on Rowan's dick. Is that too much to ask?
That is fair.
Aelin is the one character where I think Sarah was just like, fuck this bitch up. Like,
Yeah.
fuck her happy ending until the very last chapter.
Yeah, it really was so much for my happy ending.
Oh, I would revenge. Shut up.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, fuck it up.
So then a boat just rocks up, pulled along by eels, which is alarming, and I suggest you do not board a boat pulled along by any type of water snake.
No, we don't trust the ocean.
Aelin gets out of the water and tells them, "This is my boat, and it shall lead us to sea." And everyone's like, "Slightly alarming, because you've just been locked in a box for 12 weeks. Why the fuck should we trust you about what this boat is and where it shall go?" Despite
Where
the fact
did you
that
get this boat from?
where did it come from? Why are there eels here?
Where did it come from? Where did it go?
Where did you come from? Cock that show.
Well, funnily you say that, because that's what the little folk behind her are doing. They're all just dancing along, having a grand old time. As it turns out, they've also brought a present. It's Mab's crown. They realise that she is Mab's heir too, and she is their queen. Look, I think the little folk are just my MVPs of this book.
What do you think of them as? Like, when I think of the little folk, I think of like little tiny gnomes.
I pictured the little tree from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Baby Groot.
Just
Baby
lots
Groot.
of baby Groots. Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, Yippee, the little folk, everyone is amazing. They're actually just doing gang signs. Aelin is watching Aelin on the boat, and she's basically staring at her arms that don't have any scars on them anymore. Aelin shifts her gaze to Lorcan. She knows what he did. It was ultimately for her, like she knows that, but that won't take away the fact that he is at fault for all of Aelin's trauma. We're then in Aelin's POV, and she's thinking about where Dorian and Manon are. She thinks about how she has to face Erewhon and Maeve, and she needs to let him make the sacrifice to save the kingdom, even if she'll never forgive herself for it.
Yeah, look, she's very broken.
This is literally that fucking song. Have
I given enough?
Given
Yes.
enough. Literally.
And she has.
She fucking has. Dorian can give up this one fucking thing.
His life.
His life.
You'll be fine.
It's just
Yeah,
one
Aelin's
thing,
basically
Dorian.
died like fucking 8 times at this
How
point.
many times? Honestly.
Look, agreed.
Yeah, she's very broken, and all she can do is she repeats this mantra to herself, "You do not yield," and says that she will pretend to be okay so that they can defeat the enemy. She's gonna fake it until she makes it. And it's But moral of the story, so Aelin is like chugging along, but obviously not doing well, and Rowan is just like staying close to her but never touching her.
She's
just
just got her beer that she was drinking, and she's just chugging it.
On the flamingo. Yeah.
On the
funnel.
flamingo. Yeah, she's actually brought her floating flamingo out
brought
of
a
the
beer
pool,
bong.
and she's just still sitting in it, but on dry land.
Yeah. It's my therapy flamingo, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I do love Rowan. Like, obviously, she's not ready to be touched, and he's respecting those boundaries because he is a normal man doing the bare minimum, so that's fine. But he's also staying close enough so that, like, his scent envelops her, so she's comforted that way, and I fucking love it. They then see a cave, and we get some talk about barrow wights, which are basically creatures of malice and thought who collect gold and treasure, and how they like to live in this scenario. Aelin decides that this is obviously the exact spot where they should stop, and leaps out onto the earth and heads towards this cave. And obviously, the Scooby gang, for the most part, follow. They enter the cave, and one of those creatures is there, but Rowan, like, gets it away with his magic. He doesn't even comment on the fact that Aelin could have done it with her magic, but she didn't. She hasn't touched her magic. And Aelin tells them that they basically need more gold for what's coming, so raid this tomb.
Fuck this dead person, take all his cash.
We do not believe in generational wealth. You do not leave this behind. We are taking it for what we need.
Because we are Tomb Raiders.
She'd look great as a Lara Croft.
Oh, she looks
She
so
would.
fucking hot. Oh, that's now a fantasy of mine.
George is like,
Put that in the wank bank. Cool.
Fenris switches back to his Fae form, and we have this like really beautiful moment where like Aelin approaches him, and we have this quote. Again, we're not sorry for the quotes. We can't be. There's too many, and they're too good. So shove it up your arsehole. Aelin's smile remained just barely as she walked to the golden-haired male, his bronze skin ashen. She opened her arms in silent offer to let him decide if he wished for contact, if he could endure it, just as Rowan would let her decide if she wished to touch him. A small sigh broke from Fenris before before he folded Aelin into his arms, a shudder rippling through him. Rowan couldn't see her face, perhaps didn't need to, as her hands gripped Fenris's jacket so tightly they were white-knuckled. Oh,
She's actually just dry humping him. That's what she's so
Aelin says thank you to Fenris for the dry hump, and they have their unspoken code again. She's like, thank you, I really needed that release.
Really needed to just get off. So
Yeah,
thank
just
you.
need to take the edge off, so thank you. Rowan and Gabriel are there with them, and Fenris tells the boys what happened. Rowan and Gabriel are happy to have him back and tell them that they will seek revenge for Connor's death.
They are packing gold into their pockets, and as the others head back to the boat, Aelin approaches Rowan, and we get this moment where she says, I don't know the Fae customs, she said. The thicker ring held an elegantly cut ruby within the band itself, while the smaller one bore a sparkling rectangular emerald mounted atop. The stone as large as her fingernail, but when humans wed, rings are exchanged. Her fingers trembled just slightly. Too many unspoken words lay between them, yet now was not the time for that conversation, for that healing. Silently, Rowan grasped her own hand and eased on the emerald ring. To whatever end, he whispered. Silver lined her eyes. To whatever end. A reminder, a vow, more sacred than the wedding oaths they'd sworn on that ship, to walk this path together, back from the darkness of the iron coffin, to face what waited in Terrasen, ancient promises to the gods be damned.
Oh my god.
And remember how I do that thing where I'm like sobbing, crying, shitting, squeezing, squelching?
Squeezing.
I'm doing all of those things right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I'm
fluid.
doing them all as well, but I'm also angry because we don't know what their wedding vows were, Sarah. Because you
Again.
never tell us.
Sarah.
God. Anyway, so Aelin tells him that they will need to train again and she needs to pack on some muscle, and he tells her that he will redo her tattoos and he wants to add a special little extra one as well.
Just his initial in a tramp stamp.
It's Rowan, but it's across her asshole, and R and then the arsehole.
Oh, is her asshole, yeah.
So that's a nice one. That's a bit different. They say it will be just like old times, but Rowan adds there will be far less sleeping involved this time. Anyway, you don't know why I turned into Dr. Hibbard. Fenris and Lorcan have a brief face-off as well when Fenris goes back to the boat. Hissing follows them back to the boat as well, which is always good, but Rowan basically gets out his whip and whips them back. No, he uses his magic. He does not own a whip. And then they see like glowworms looking like stars on the ceiling of the cave. It gives Aelin like the second wind. And she's like, you know what?
I'm not depressed anymore.
I want to beat the enemies. This has overcome my depression. These glowworms, these little worms, that's it. She's actually eaten one. It's given her superpowers.
Yeah. She's realised, yes, there is only 700 pages left of my traumatist story and I need to end this shit now. So
I need to
do this
give me
for
strength.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Specifically, she will not cope if I do not fuck my husband, so I must go and fuck him.
Speaking of the more fucking we need, next up we're back with Nesta and fuck, why don't we get explicit smut of her and Sartak?
Because
I need
they're
it.
just side characters, Bryony. They're not there to carry any plot.
I need it.
They were there. They were just there to pad out the series.
I need it.
It's okay. It's fine. So Nezrin and Borte are now looking at the army heading to Anil.
Remember, they're going up Tail's ass.
Borte and Yrene aren't married yet, but they're still at each other's throats. You know, they've got a little bit of tension going on there. But Borte makes a passing comment that makes us think that maybe she's already fucked him. And ooh, how intriguing. But also, I do not care. We literally have known you for a quarter of one book, and I am not invested in your relationship. And I don't know why I'm mad about that, but
I honestly don't know why you're mad either.
yeah.
Look, I get it that Ellie told us she was having a bad time
Yeah.
when she wrote these notes, but you know what? Just let me have my things.
Okay, I'll let you have that. Now we're with Yrene, and you know she's a little busy bee. She's a busy beaver. She's pregnant and just doing shit, and that's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
The bone Georgia agrees. Bone drums has bum drums. Not bum drums.
That's why they have all like the people. That's why they had to make those babies.
They're holding them.
The only people they kidnap are actually like people with great asses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because then they become bongo drums.
Then now they're bums. Okay, no. Bone drums have started from Erewhon's army and they are preparing for battle. Chaol finds his daddy and is being a little bitch as per usual because we expect nothing less at this stage. We find out that Chaol's mother took his brother and her ladies-in-waiting and their families and ran because we also don't have time to introduce any more characters to this book right now. We've already had to fuck off one mum and brother. We can't do it again to another one, so they've just
Queen
gone.
Georgiana.
He then breaks the news that Yrene is pregante.
Monday.
He knows this purely from observing, because unlike Chaol, he notices things like, oh, your woman, she's been sick 24/7. She keeps touching her womb and she smells like your semen. And Kayla's like, huh, what do you
She
do?
smells like your cock.
And it's
Stanky.
genetic, so I know what that smells like.
And Kale's like, oh, you know what? You might be right, Daddy. You might be right.
We have just been ploughing non-stop.
And I don't know what contraception is because I'm a man. The woman handles that, right? Oh, Kale, you pathetic little weasel. So before he can react, the bone drums stop and the army begins to advance.
So we leave that and we're back with Manon. Manon has made progress with the Crocans, but obviously not enough because trauma. Manon decides that they will go to the Ferium Gap and rally anyone who is under Petra Bluebud's rule and ask them to join their rallying force if the Crocans won't join them. And Manon says, like, I want to bring them home. I want to bring them all home before it's too late, before they become something unworthy of a homeland. And I just thought that was really beautiful. We then jump to where we left off with Dorian, and Manon finds him speaking with Caltaine. She's pissed because she thought that they had no lies between them, and she's also pissed because she cares. She's caught feelings. Dorian is like, too bad. I'm a man with a plan. I am a lone wolf. I need to go to Morath and cannot be tied down. And Manon is like, no, you're going to come to the Ferian Gap with us. Show us what you can truly like shapeshift into. And then if you prove yourself, you can go to Morath. I'm not going to tell you how much I actually love you. I'm just going to make you do scary things instead. It's my love language.
Yeah. Fuck you up mentally.
Yeah.
And then hope you survive at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that really is my love language.
Yeah, look, it's Ellie. Dorian's like, okay, but you're going to find another tent to sleep in tonight because I need some space. Back with Aelin and the gang, they get out of the caves and they basically head towards the war on a ship they bought with the gold from those tombs. And Aelin sends a bunch of letters out, one to Lysandra and Aedion and others to unknown recipient. Save that for later. Love an Aelin scheme. Aelin and Rowan talk and they actually discuss everything. She asks if he wishes that she wasn't his mate. And he's like, mate, you are actually crazy. She tells him about the... Mate, you're my mate. Aelin tells him about the fake stories that Maeve spun in her head about them and how she always knew it wasn't real because the male I fell in love with was you. It was you who knew pain as I did and who walked with me through it back to the light. Maeve didn't understand that even if she could create that perfect world, it wouldn't be you with me. And I'd never trade this, not for anything.
Oh my God.
I love them.
The trauma.
Literally, that's why they're so in love. There's all this trauma.
Yeah, literally. And we go straight from that and we go into more quotes, which, again, not sorry.
Not sorry.
No. We get this from Rowan. I wanted it to be you, he breathed, closing his eyes. For months and months, even in Wendelin, I wondered why you weren't my mate instead. It tore me up wondering it, but I still did. He opened his eyes, and they burned like green fire. All this time, I wanted it to be you. I know you are tired, Fireheart. I know that the burden on your shoulders is more than anyone should endure. He took their joined hands and laid them on his heart. But we face this together. Erewhon, the Loch, all of it. We face it together. And when we are done, when you settle, we will have 1,000 years together, longer. And then we follow that up with, a small sound came from her. Elena said the Loch requires, we'll face it together. He swore again. And if the cost of it is truly you, then we'll pay it together as one soul in two bodies. Oh my God, and then there's more.
Thanks.
Even if I had my choice of any dream realities, any perfect illusions, I would still choose you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They end up topping that all off with a fucking fuckfest. It's hot
They
as
top
shit.
it all off by topping each other.
Topping each other.
Yeah,
Oh,
by
they
topping each
do.
other. It's like the proper mating claim, you know? Like, this is when they 100% know that they're mates. And they both mark each other again, and it's brilliant and wonderful.
Someone who's not brilliant is Lorcan. He's on the deck of the boat, and Aelin comes out and approaches him, and everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen? And she goes, we have a bit of a problem because you are an untrustworthy son of a bitch. So you can either take my blood oath or you can fuck off and die. And Lorcan's like, well, what do I get out of it? And it's like, I don't know your life, sir. Stop asking questions. Just be grateful. But Aelin looks to Alid and says that he will be able to stay anywhere in Terrasen, and her only oath she'd ask of him is to protect Terrasen and its people, which is like, look, she's not asking for much. So he agrees. Then he's just like maintaining eye contact with Alid. He's like slicing his hand and like sucking the blood from Aelin while maintaining heavy eye contact with Alid. It's weird. But
The tongue.
he notices he does start to notice hope in her eyes. So here we go. ... They set sail.
So Lorcan did ...
Oh.
Next chapter, Dorian alters his skin, his hair, and his eyes, and he's pretending to be a wyvern trainer to get into the keep at the Ferrian Gap. Manon tells him to come back. Astron's wyvern is going in with him as well, so Astron is like, please look after her. And he agrees on his life. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful.
We would all do that for animals too.
Yes.
He enters the Ferrian Gap, and we then jump to Manon's POV, and she is stressed. But he returns unharmed and tells her that the matrons aren't in there. It's just Petra and 300 iron teeth from each host.
So Manon goes in with the 13, and because of the life debt that Petra owes her, she gives her an audience. Manon is basically given the opportunity to make her speech to all of the iron teeth that are there, and she basically says, we need to be better. Too long to prey on the weak. I don't want to, but I will fuck you up if I have to, because I want a better fucking life, and you're standing in my way, bitch. But she's like, but also the offer is open if you would like to join us. Totally fine. Like, just RSVP on the Facebook event. It's all good. And she leaves there. She leaves there not as a child of war, but of peace.
Anyway, we're moving on. We're back with Aelin. She's having a nightmare. So, cool. Ken is there. We love that. And our favourite guy, Arabin, he's back from the dead. They're taunting her, they're hurting her. Arabin tells her that he knows that she hopes that Dorian will pay the price to the gods, which is kind of like, well, we all are kind of hoping that, Arabin, so you're not far from the truth.
Exactly.
She wakes up screaming from this nightmare, but Rowan is already there, calming her down. He's in hawk form again. He's got that wing, and he's just caressing it.
He's
gently.
actually just blowing a fine wind on her with his windmill dick.
Yeah, with his windmill dick.
Yeah.
I love that for her. I would like to
Even
wake
though
up
he's
to
got
that
magic of wind, he's still just like, no, it's not the time.
This is
No.
actually the more authentic way.
Yeah.
How my
He's just doing-
ancestors did it.
too. Tiny little hip thrusts in the morning. There we are. With the sound as he's doing it.
It's that
Amazing.
turtle. You know that turtle? Ah.
Right, so she needs to train, which I don't relate. Rowan is reluctant to let her train on an empty stomach, which again, I don't relate. My stomach is never empty, but they do for a while. Before he beats her in a duel and makes her eat the shitty breakfast made by the guy whose inn they've stopped at, which poor bloke, he gets like the briefest of mentions in this book. And all we get is that,
Cook.
yeah, he makes shit food. Like, oh, sorry, sir, you're not worthy enough to have a name. And yet,
Nope.
you make shit food. So Aelin feels like she can't stop because everyone is dying, which is correct. Innocent people are dying, also correct. She feels she has to do something, which is also correct. So, yeah.
It's accurate. You just kind of got to sit with that sometimes. So after they eat the shitty food, Aelin goes and sits with Fenris because they both can't sleep and, trauma. And we get this moment where he just turned to her and blinked 3 times. Are you all right? A gull's cry pierced the grey world and Aelin blinked back twice. No, it was as much as she'd admit. She blinked again, thrice now. Are you all right? 2 blinks from him too. No, they were not all right. They might never be. If the others knew, if they saw past the swagger and temper, they did not let on. They're just 2 besties who are both depressed. That fucking ripped my heart out. Where that offer to be like, I can give you answers if you need it. And she's like, nah, I'm not equipped to unpack that.
Yeah, look, I'm good. I'm good right here where I'm at.
Yeah.
Now, so thanks, but no thanks.
The moment is kind of broken up though, because Rowan is like launching from the skies at a high velocity, and he points back towards the sky like something is coming, and then the chapter ends.
Big
Oh,
yikes.
imagine that. He's just flying. He can't say anything because he's a bird, but he's pointing with his wing.
Like, ah!
It has been 5 days of battle for Yrene and Kale, and Yrene is just go. She's on a mission. There's just not enough healers. There's too many people that are injured, and she's barely had a chance to speak, let alone tell Kale that she's Pregante.
Pregonate.
Preggers.
He knows though,
Full
because
of seed, if you will.
Oh.
all right then.
Out of all the choices you could have made then, Georgia,
full of
that's the one
seed.
you made.
Full of seed. But right, well, he knows this though. You see, you don't doubt him. He knows because he was told. No. His daddy worked that one out for him. But we're now in his point of view, and he is on the battlefield. They are preparing for the enemy to drop their siege towers, and he knows she is
You said drop
pregnant.
your seed towers. You're not going to be like babies on the battlefield?
Oh my god!
Emily.
Thank you!
Emily. I said Emily. Ah, the enemy are coming to impregnate us all. So,
Bend over, everyone.
which is, here I am, rock me like a hurricane. The battle is all-out war. Nazrin and Sartak and Vorte and Yrene are fighting on the Rooks, and Hazar comes through with fresh troops from the Kargan. We're all here. Kale and Yrene are flown down at nightfall for like a war council meeting, and someone walks through the tent flaps.
Yrene
Also,
flaps.
flaps.
Irene's actually just bent over. Come on in,
Giving
guys.
birth already.
and
Come
warm.
on. I've got plenty of room on up here.
There's already a fetus in there, but just move that to the side. It's all right.
Move that over. It's fine. It's Kale's. It was used to getting kidnapped and moved.
Granny's mud seems to laugh gets me. Just summarise this chapter. Aelin not doing well. The soldiers think Aelin has abandoned them. He shuts down the thoughts as soon as they come up, but he's struggling. There's a lot of backlash here. He's trying to hold the team together by pulling them all off. He's beating them off.
It's like, fine, who's next?
He's beating off those bad words of Aelin by beating them off. Anyway, they're lining up for war the next day. There's no time for beating off here. No. The Vag soldiers advance. 2,000 of them end up falling into the water created by Whitethorn cousins. And then the water is sealed over and made into ice. So that's 2,000 of them down and a lot more of them to go.
Yeah.
Not good.
Unfortunately, so much more to go.
So it's fucking on,
buddy.
right? Lysandra is in Wyvern form, but they know that there's a shifter, so the ilk can basically ambush her, and she barely gets out. Morath is pushing, and the center lines actually end up breaking, and Aedian's trying to roar commands, as are Ansel and old mate Galvanized Steel.
Yeah, Galvanized Steel, Galen.
Galvanized
Yeah.
steel.
Lysandra thinks of how Aedian called her useless, and she's like, you know what? I know what I have to do.
Oof. Get ready for trauma, guys, because Lysandra takes on Aelin's skin. We get this quote from Aedian because obviously he's deeply regretful at this moment as he watched Lysandra as Aelin storm towards certain death. He took it back. He took back everything he had said to her, every moment of anger in his heart. Aedian shoved through his own men, unable to breathe, to think. He took it back. He hadn't meant a word of it, not really. Lysandra tried to rise on her injured leg. The Ilkin laughed. Please, Aedian bellowed. The word was devoured by the screams of the dying. Please. He'd make any bargain. He'd sell his soul to the dark god if they'd spare her. He hadn't meant it. He took it back, all those words. Useless. He'd called her useless, had thrown her into the snow naked. He took it back. Aedian sobbed, flinging himself towards her as Lysandra tried again to rise, using her shield to balance her weight. Men rallied behind her, waiting to see what the Firebringer would do, how she'd burn the Ilkin. Yet Lysandra rose, Aelin's golden hair falling in her face as she hefted her shield and pointed the sword between her and the Ilkin. The Queen had come. The Queen fights alone. Men ran back to the front line, turned on their heels and raced for her. Lysandra held her sword steady, kept it pointed at the Ilkin in defiance and rage, ready for the death soon to come.
I really liked that whole that was so traumatizing, but I like how Aedian bellowed, similar to how Rhysand roared and devoured by the screams of the dying, the screams of the dying while they fucked.
Death and the dying.
You know, wow, this one is not as nice, but, you know, that's fucked. So, yeah, cool, great.
Yeah, different vibes, different vibes.
Different vibes.
Different vibes, but same.
Lysandra is obviously injured, and by the time Aelin finally gets to her, he hoists her over his shoulder and the lions start reforming and fighting back to protect their queen. But just as the tide seems to be turning in their favour, a witch tower appears. Aelin knows what they are straight away, and he's like, everyone run. And he's running and ends up watching. So one heartbeat, their left flank was fighting as they retreated once more. The next, a wave of black-tinted light slammed into 4,000 soldiers. When it receded, there was only ash and dented metal.
Yikes.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. Young witches are completing the yielding and basically dropping into these mirror witch towers, and that's what's fueling them. They're literal yeeting themselves at a high velocity.
Yeah.
Look, I would not voluntarily sign up for that. I'd be like,
no. Depends on what day you ask me to do it. If I'm having a really bad day, I'd probably be like, yeah, fuck it up, all right?
Yield.
Point me in the
do not
direction
yield,
you want
actually.
me.
I do yield. So we then get to the next chapter, and Cal and Yrene are in the war meeting when ... Aelin and the Scooby Gang walk in her flaps. Come on in.
Hello.
Aelin sees Kale and cries when she hugs him. He holds a hand out to Yrene, and Aelin knows who she is straight away. And we get this fucking moment. Yrene folded the Queen's fingers around the paper. It is yours, as it always was, a piece of your bravery that helped me find my own. And then we move on. It gave me the courage, the words you wrote. Every mile I travelled, every long hour I studied and worked, it gave me courage. I thank you for that too. And at this point, I was sobbing, crying. Kale basically tells Aelin that Yrene is his wife. His wifey. And Aelin introduces Rowan, and then she sees Nesrin. And then they embrace. They cuddle. It's beautiful, and I cry.
Aelin tells Kale that Dorian is with Manon finding the keys, and she is introduced to Sartak and Hussar. She then continues to introduce her court, Gabriel, Lorcan, who they're all like, wow, this is such a large man, lol. Fenris, who we find out his last name is Moonbeam.
Oh my god, I'm obsessed with it.
Fenris, Moonbeam. Lol, absolutely hysterical.
Big lols.
And elite. Kyle is like, oh, Gabriel is Aedian's daddy. Okay. Cool. When they realize that, we get this moment from Gabriel, which is just super good. But where Aedian was fire, Gabriel seemed to be stone. Indeed, his eyes were solemn as he said, Aedian is my pride.
Oh, don't do that to me.
I just thought I'd put that pain out there. Aelin's like, all right, now that all the introductions are out of the way, where do we plan to go once we beat the shit out of these motherfuckers that are up Kale's ass?
So as lovely and wholesome as this whole moment is, and we're all interconnected and we're bonding, I'm still a little bit stressed because, is Lysandra dead? Is Aedian dead?
We don't know.
They yielded.
I like how you're saying Lysandra. They
march to wherever they need them once Aniel, Kale's anus, is saved. Aelin needs them at Terrasen, but she will aid them here, and then she will convince them to go because she is our queen. Vorte then walks in with a young man. His name is Falcon. He recognizes Aelin, and when he's introduced, Aelin almost passes out. Bear with me, we have quotes. The threads of fate weave together in strange ways, Falcon said, then smiled at Aelin. I never got your name. Hussar chuckled from the other side of the desk. You already know it, Shifter. Before Falcon could figure it out, Fenris stepped forward. Shifter? But Nesrin said, and Lysandra's uncle.
I love this.
Aelin slumped into the chair beside Kale's. Rowan laid a hand on her shoulder, and when she looked up, she found him near laughter. What's so funny exactly? She hissed. Rowan smirked. That for once, you are the one who gets knocked on your ass by a surprise. Aelin, which, love that.
It's very good. I like it.
So good. Aelin gets the tea, spiders are the valg, so is Mav. We don't like like spiders or demons.
Yeah.
So it's Mav?
Mav.
Mav. Did I say Mav?
You said Mav.
Mav.
Mav and
Mav.
Vag. Mav and Vag.
Mav's
Mav
just
and
having
Vag.
a bag.
She's having a bag
Okay.
on her bag.
Bag.
With a bag on.
Val. Doing a bag.
Got stag boobs. Stag boobs.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, everyone is like speechless, right? We move to the next chapter and Rowan is like, whoa. Rewind a second. She's got saggy what?
They were perky the last time I saw her. She not getting the support that she needs.
Elaine's like, look, I know the feeling. These bad boys only have a couple more years left of gravity, and then my good graces.
Yeah, I feel that. No, Rowan is like, holy shit, what the fuck? And Nesrin explains everything in great detail. Aelin tells them how she saw Maeve's blood, but thought it was like a trick of the light because obviously she was going through a traumatic experience and she was like, I don't know what's real and what's not. She then explains what happened to her while she was held captive. And when she finishes, we get this moment between Hussar and her, which is Hussar says, we'll make that bitch pay for that too, won't we? Just like a
That is
bro
like
moment.
the best friendship. It's like, well, we will fuck them up now, won't we? Yeah.
Fuck yeah, we will.
She's like, I don't know who Maeve is. I've had no experience with her, but I'll fuck her up. Why not?
So they make plans for the war tomorrow, but Aelin is like barely there mentally. Once the plans are forged, she storms out and goes to a nearby lake and is just like gulping down freezing lake water. Again, not a choice I would make.
No,
No.
there's probably like parasites. God
yeah,
knows what.
you
in
need a
there.
Puritat for that, mate.
You need
You
fucking Puritat.
Aelin is breaking. I shouldn't laugh. It's very sad. Aelin's breaking. Aelin whispered, I wanted to die by the end, before she ever threatened me with the collar. And even now, I feel like someone has ripped me from myself, like I'm at the bottom of the sea, and who I am, who I was, is far up at the surface, and I will never get back there. Aelin let out a sob that cracked something in him. I can't feel myself anymore. It's like she snuffed it out, ripped me from it. She and Can and everything they did to me. She gulped down air, and Rowan wrapped her in his arms and pulled her onto his lap. I'm so tired, she wept. I'm so tired, Rowan. I know, he stroked her hair. I know. It was all there really was to say.
This is where
Oh.
the music reference gets inserted right
Am I
here.
giving it up?
Oh.
Give it up.
Right here.
I swear to God, I had the exact same conversation with Lockie after the birth of my children. Like, I'm just so tired and I don't know what to do.
I've been
I know
ripped
you're
from myself.
I've been ripped in half.
Yeah, look, that's fair, actually. That's right.
Yeah.
The bit I find so sad is whenever Aelin's like, I'm tired. And it's not just because I'm a sleepy gal. It is because for Aelin to even acknowledge any weakness is huge. Like, and it's not a weakness. She's been fucking traumatized. Oh, she's just gone through so much and she just, the pain. Gabriel is worried about Aedion, and he's wondering why Aelin hasn't offered him the blood oath. But Rowan explains that obviously Aedion gets it first. They then get ready for battle.
Yikes. So we go to the next chapter and Alid and Lorcan are arguing. Lorcan is totally shook by the fact that Maeve is a demon vag, and he is trying to now say that he never loved her. Shocking twist of events.
Funny?
We get this quote, which is actually kind of badass, and I kind of love Alid. So here we go.
Yeah, rip him a new one.
I don't see why you're so shocked. Even with her being immortal and cold, you loved her. You must have accepted those traits. What difference does it make what we call her then? I didn't love her. You certainly acted like you did. Lorcan snarled. Why is that the point you keep returning to, Alid? Why is it the one thing you cannot let go of? Because I'm trying to understand how you could come to love a monster. Why? He pushed into her space. She didn't balk one step. Indeed, her eyes were blazing as she hissed, because it will help me understand how I did the same.
Oh.
I love it. The confessions of love in anger, in an argument. Oh.
She goes up to his face and she's like, is it a sickness? She demanded. Is it something broken within you? Alid then says, on from that quote, if you think that because you swore the blood oath to Aelin, it means anything for you and me, you are sorely mistaken. You're immortal. I'm human. Let us not forget that little fact either. Lorcan nearly recoiled at the words. Their horrible truth. He was 500 years old. Alida's like, actually, ignore that confession totally. I don't actually care if you die.
Ignore all of that.
Ignore it all. I don't give a fuck if you die. Basically, she's like, actually, to summarize, fuck you and your cow.
Gabriel is like to Aelin, whoa, that was a lot. Like, that was super fucking harsh. And he tells her that Lorcan would give up or has given up everything for her. And she didn't mean what she said about him dying, but it's too late, you know? Words have consequences, but he also deserves it. Nesrin and Vorte are brushing their rooks, and Vorte and Yrene are like flirting by talking about killing each other, and I love it. But they're also officially fucking now, so I love that for them. Shout out to my boy Sartak, because he appears and we get this moment between him and Nesrin that I actually want to combust over because it's so good. He says, "Come to bed." Heat fled through her body. "We've a battle to launch tomorrow. Again." And he says, "And a day of death has made me want to hold you," the prince said, giving her that disarming grin she had no defences against. Especially, has he added, "and do other things with you." Nesrin's toes curled in her boots. "Then help me finish cleaning Salki." The prince lunged so fast for the brush Borte had discarded that Nesrin laughed.
I love them.
That is cute.
Like, I love the cuteness. I love the holding you. I love the other things. I love the, like, toes curling.
I love a toe curl. Yes.
Yeah. Next chapter, Manon returns and Bronwyn is like, "So, how'd it go? Like, give us all the dates." And Manon is like, "We'll see." And Bronwyn is like, "Fuck's sakes, you got our fucking hopes up for no fucking reason, all right?" She's like, "Fuck off." Manon asks Glenys if she thinks the Iron Teeth can change and asks her about her sister, and Glenys tells her that Rhiannon was one of the only Crocans who believed that peace was possible between the Iron Teeth and the Crocans.
Shame she's dead.
Shame she's dead.
Shame.
And then we top that off by Dorian beginning to practice being a bird.
I just love that. Dorian begins to practice as a bird. He's like, everyone's doing very productive things. I might fly.
Yeah. He's literally like in the corner.
Oh my
God,
God, it's Sarah at dinner with the Inner Circle being like, "I think I want to learn how to fly."
Yeah,
so, okay, cool. Great. Good for you. Now we're back with Lysandra. She's waking up in her own body. She's not a horse gal. She's not a Wyvern. She's not Aelin. She's Lysandra, and Aelin is there. They are on the run and they're making their way back to Orinth. A storm has held Morath back, so small winds. Lysandra is back in her body and she's shifted when the healers were stitching her up, so not great. Everyone saw and she basically just apologised as soon as she realised. And then Aelin apologised for everything he's done. Strap in for some men. So he's basically like, "I'm so sorry. I love you. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that to you. I'm so sorry." This is what she says. "I have been degraded and humiliated in so many ways for so many years," she said, voice shaking, not from fear, but from the tidal wave that swept up everything inside her, burning alongside the wound in her leg. "But I have never felt as humiliated as I did when you threw me into the snow, like a little snow whore. When you called me a lying bitch in front of our friends and allies. Never." She hated the angry tears that stung her eyes. "I was once forced to crawl before men, and gods above, I nearly crawled for you these months. And yet it takes me nearly dying for you to realise that you've been an ass. It makes me nearly dying for you to see me as human again." He didn't hide the regret in his eyes. She had spent years reading men and knew that every agonized emotion in his face was genuine, but it didn't erase what he had said and done.
I love, we've got this incredible moment, and Ellie's like, "Snow whore."
Snow whore.
Little snow whore. Little snow whore.
Okay,
I couldn't stop that laugh.
I'm sorry, but like, yes, Queen, you do not deserve a man who will treat you like a naked snow whore and only care about your feelings when you're wearing the skin of his cousin Queen half dead. Sosbros, you fucked up.
So, who's reading Julia Gillard's misogyny speech? That's what this is right now.
Yeah,
someone get it up.
Same
Someone yell it.
energy.
This speech and her speech, it gives off the same energy.
Again, for those of our listeners who are not in Australia and have not listened to our other episode where we went into a very intense rant about this speech, the only female Prime Minister that Australia has had gave a speech on misogyny against the leader of the opposition, who was then became Prime Minister Tony Abbott.
Yeah. A little bit of context. They were basically calling her a witch in the press. and saying that she's so emotional because her dad had just died. Like, it was just, this is what she says. And in doing so, I say to the leader of the opposition, I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. I will not. And the government will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man. Not now, not ever. The leader of the opposition says that people who hold sexist views and who are misogynist are not appropriate for high office. Well, I hope the leader of the opposition has got a piece of paper and he is writing out his resignation, because if he wants to know what misogyny looks like in modern Australia, he doesn't need a motion in the House of Representatives. He needs a mirror. That's what he needs.
Yes.
Mm.
Same
Yes, Queen.
energy.
It is.
Same energy.
Say it with me now. Little Snowhawk energy.
Little
Oh.
snow energy.
I'm not saying it. I can't do that.
Lysandra promptly kicks him out. Aelin is sad, and he is walking back to his tent. Darrow was there. Yay. He strips Aelin of his title of Commander of the Bane and takes the Sword of Orinth from him, because as it turns out, Darrow doesn't like what he saw when Lysandra was treated like a dirty little snowhawk. He was like, not today. Not ever.
Darrow's
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember, they did actually drug them and left them behind while they could
Yeah,
be
true.
army elsewhere.
True. I was just trying to make it relevant to Snowhawks, but that's fine. So, turns out Morath have snuck in front of them, which I'm kind of like, oh, Kale, were you leading this legion of armies? Like, because is that something that you missed? That sounds like you, but oh, no, it wasn't. But they've just, the whole army's just snuck on in front of them, and now they're trapped. So, great work.
Problem.
Hale and Yrene have a chat about her being a pregante. They are fighting for their future together and their future of their little fetus thing. Hale's dad.
Like, you could have just stopped at fetus, but then you were like, thing.
Anyway, so yes, Kale's daddy wants to meet Aelin, so Kale has to introduce them. Aelin opens the door, and his dad is a cunt. No surprises. Aelin tells him that his own son outranks him, and she knows that they won't get in each other's way, and so that's fine. Aelin basically is like, oh, by the way, guys, congrats on the fetus
Like, I
thing.
can smell Kale's semen all over you, so I know what's happening.
I can smell it in the air. What is it? Pregante.
Aelin and the gang are just sitting around eating some chicken and discussing things. Classic stitched up. And Sarah is trying to backpedal at this moment on the whole Rowan and Aelin being very loosely related situation. And we get this line, which is, Aelin was more closely related to Yrene, probably to Kale too, than she was to Rowan, despite their distant ancestry. Sarah,
Okay, so now she's
is
just
a
fucking
little
everyone.
too late for this shit.
It's
Put it out there.
just a little
In
too
book
late.
3.
Yeah, look, not okay with that development. Also, let's not relate the fact that it's okay that she's fucking her cousin, because technically she's more
She's
related
already
to her
fucked
other
her
cousin,
cousin.
Kale.
Don't touch it, Sarah. Just leave it alone. We'll all forget. It'll be fine. Yrene asks who will take over Dorinel when Maeve dies. And Rowan is like, oh my god, Aelin, that is you. Because she's like a direct blood relative of the real Fae Queens. And it goes through the maternal line because power of the pussy. And if it's not Aelin, it's Rowan's cousin, Enda Celise, I don't know. And Aelin is like, I never want to go back to Dorinel, so absolutely not. At this
That
stage,
literally reminded me of the quote of you being like, absolutely, I will fuck my cousins. Of the Credence
Winter is
episode.
coming, and so am I.
Alright.
So absolutely, I will fuck my cousins.
Next chapter, Dorian is shapeshifting and he decides to change into a giant walking pair of tits.
He's like, Yrene!
Lead! Manon's like, oh my god, Lead! Oh, it's just you.
Wait a minute.
But also, can we just roleplay for just a second?
Manon sees the Crocken witch and is like, oh, wait a damn minute, because he's obviously shapeshifted into someone who was going to be very inconspicuous, aka a Crocken witch, who is very, low-ranking, quiet, whatever. She's like, hold on a second. She's like, I know that smell. That smells like Dorian's cum. She's like, change out of this form. Change out of it. And basically asks him if this means that he's going to go to Morath. And he's like, so what if I am going to Morath? If you don't want me to go, tell me. But she's like, no, that's not what I'm going to do. And we get this quote. He says, because while you might be older, might be deadly in 1,000 different ways, deep down, you're afraid. You don't know how to ask me to stay because you're afraid of admitting to yourself that you want it. You're afraid of yourself more than anyone else in the world. You're afraid.
Yikes.
Wow, that goes down like a bloody treat.
Can I just
But
say this is
also-
gaslighting? This is gaslighting. We will circle back to this. Gaslighting.
But also,
He's not wrong though.
he's not wrong. But also, if I could shapeshift and I picked, say, like, if I shapeshift into Georgia, I'm going to go and I'm going to fuck with Georgia. I'm going to pretend to be future Georgia. I'm going to come in and be like, I'm here from the future with a message.
Oh my god. And me, I would be like, oh my god.
Like, Dorian's just like, no, I'm just going to chill, do some chores.
Yeah, he literally does. He just does some chores.
Yeah,
just
but then he's also
Aelin would be like, I'm going
hello.
to fuck your day off. And I love that Sarah put in the whole bit where he's like, how they move, how they get in the way when you're trying to do things.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I'm circling on back because he's dropping the breadcrumbs. He's saying all this shit like, you need to tell me what you want. If you want me to say it, you need to voice that. So she's got that in her mind. So then when she does voice it, he's like, Sus, didn't actually mean it. Catcha, cunt, gaslighting asshole.
I just didn't see it as gaslighting, but it's interesting that you did. Anyway, that's a big yikes. Manon is like, me? Jealous? Never. And we know that she's fucking lying. She's a liar.
Everyone but Manon is like, you're lying. And she's like, actually, I am very convincing.
I am the most truthful person I've met.
The 13 have been invited to continue on with the Crocans. Manon ends up talking to Glenys. They're leaving when all of a sudden, Iron Teeth, the matrons,
Dun, dun, dun.
they arrive. They're coming. Well, they're here, actually. They've already come. They've actually ejaculated over all of them, and then they've landed in it, and they've rubbed it in their face.
So the matrons walk over, covered in cum, just to have a little chitty chat. And the Yellow Legs matron is wearing the Crocan Queen's crown. And Manon is like, hey, bitch, that's fine. They get ready for fighting. Just Manon, though. No one else, just Manon against the 3 matrons. And her grandmother is leading the attack. Dorian is very stressed, despite his previous gaslighting antics. But Manon is calm, cool, and collected, and she is ready to beat them. The fighting goes on. Bronwyn throws Manon her sword, and she tells the matrons that she will hold the line and she won't yield. She's not going to yield, guys. She will not yield. She will finish what Rhiannon Crocan started. The Yellow Legs and her go at it. She sets a trap, and the matron falls for it, and she cuts her head off and takes the Crocan's crown back. So, good on you. Dorian explains, because remember, he's got that eye for detail. He's just got that little something. And he explains it's like 9 perfectly glowing stars on top of the crown. Beautiful. Manon crowns herself. Also amazing. The crown glows bright and we are obsessed. We have a quote. Beside him, around him, the 13 touched 2 fingers to their brows in deference, in allegiance to the queen who stared down the 3 high witches. The Crocan Queen crowned anew.
Again, it's the Hunger Games symbol.
It really is. Manon tells the blue...
Why do you sound like a sad cat?
I can't
Meow,
whistle.
meow, meow, meow.
Oh, no.
That's
Right.
your attempt at a whistle. Noted.
Manon tells the Blue Blood matron just to skedaddle, really, and for the debt between her and Petra is now paid. She does, because she was spared by the Crocan Queen.
So, Manon and her grandmother are basically face to face. Manon can feel her mother and father standing beside her as she stalks towards her grandmother. She knows it's not her kill, though. So she beckons Astrid over, tears running down her second's face. But when she turns, the matron is running like a little coward-ass bitch.
Like a little bitch.
Fleeing for her wyvern, and Manon is just like, look, let that bitch go. That's gotta suck being that embarrassing. Like, everyone saw that. Everyone saw that. Yeah, how embarrassing. When she turns to the Crocans, she gives Bronwyn her sword and gives Glenys the crown. And Glenys says, like, no, that's not how it works, and puts it back on Manon's head and kneels in front of her.
Oh, bless.
We get this quote. What was stolen has been restored. What was lost has come home again. I hail thee, Manon Crocan, Queen of Witches. And we're all screaming because everyone kneels. Queen of Witches. It's beautiful.
Oh my god. We're back with Aelin and the Scooby Gang then, and Rowan is strategizing because Aelin isn't using her powers, and he's a bit worried. So he slips from the room and links up with Fenris, and Fenris tells Rowan about how Maeve and Can burned her, and it apparently took the healers 2 weeks to fix what he had done to Aelin's wrists and hands. And Fenris tells Rowan that they couldn't get rid of the marks like that Rowan had left on her, the claiming marks, until she fully gave up hope. Fenris says that he's telling him this so that he can try and focus on something else today and not put any extra pressure on Aelin. They then walk towards the breakfast table, and Aelin and Aelin are already there eating, which I love the fact that he's like, I literally just left and you were asleep and now you're eating. And she's like, what of it? They then go to this like locked room and find all this ancient armor made by Asturian blacksmiths hidden away. They're like, well, we
Haven't we heard that word before?
Asterian, like the Asterian.
Oh, that's
stallions,
right.
like the
yes.
Asterian blades.
You're gonna have a fucking stroke.
Asterian.
Like that?
Who knows?
Wouldn't that be interesting if it was, though? So the day is about to start. They're all lining up for battle, but Aelin is nowhere to be seen. And the Kargan armies are taking on one host, and Rowan and Kale are taking on the other side. And they're hoisting up basically giant siege ladders trying to get into Kale's arsehole.
Good.
Why not?
The men are terrified. Our Fae boys are going to show them how to do it, though. But never mind, because Aelin actually appears. And she looks fucking glorious. Are you ready? She'd found armour below the keep. Beautiful pale gold armour that gleamed like a summer dawn. Holding back her braided hair, a diadem lay flash against her head. Not a diadem, but a piece of armour, part of some ancient set for a lady long since buried. A crown for war, a crown to wear into battle, a crown to lead armies. And what do we think this armour is? I'm interested. Whose dead armour is it?
Look, to be honest, I didn't even think about it at all. I was just like,
I like
pretty
to think of there is obviously all these worlds that are sandwiched on top of each other that we know of in Tower of Dawn. Is it someone who's maybe come around and is dead here? I don't know. I literally have no idea. I'm just like, it would be interesting.
Once they, like Sarah tells us how the worlds are stacked, there's just so much room for speculation that it's like...
There is. And you could just run for it. That's why there's all these theories out there that are literally batshit crazy.
Yeah, and I've got one of them, so...
Oh, I'm nervous, but excited.
Yeah, look, same.
Was it the one that you showed me?
Oh, no, my stupid one that I thought about yet.
For fuck's sake. Okay, yeah.
Will I agree with this theory, or will I be angry?
Probably not. It's absolutely cooked, but now it's in my brain and it won't leave. So the men are watching Aelin tear through these Valg soldiers, and like the men are like, fuck yes, and rally to the queen. And we get this quote, which is, and as Rowan fought his way closer, as that cry went down the battlements and the Anil men ran to aid her, he realized that Aelin did not need an ounce of flame to inspire men to follow, that she had been waiting, yanking at the bit, to show them what she, without magic, without any godly power, might do. He'd never seen such a glorious sight. In every land, every battle, he had never seen anything as glorious as Aelin before the throat of that siege tower, holding the line. Dawn breaking around them, Rowan loosed a battle cry and tore into Morath.
Obsessed.
But I also would like to note that Sarah J Maas has started to sprinkle what Aelin would be like without magic.
Yeah, look, I'm not okay with that.
None of us are. Not one single person that reads Throne of Glass is like, this no one's like,
this is a good part of the story.
Yeah,
no one,
completely fucking unnecessary.
So Kayla's there, the cadre's there, we're just leaving that behind. The men are rallying, life is great, and Aelin thinks, not helpless, not contained, never again. Death became a melody in her blood, every movement a dance as the tide of soldiers pouring from the tower slowed.
Stunning.
Elide is there, helping the healers with her giant breasts inside the castle, while Kale is
like,
out.
Here, take the milk from me. It'll help.
Take some. No, she's just like, just touch it. Just touch it. It's fine. It's like stressful.
Just touch it. Oh, that's good. Yeah, good.
So Kale is out on his horse called Butterfly, trampling over soldiers. It's magical. Nezrin is on her rook. The Morath soldiers aren't backing down. It's like Never Back Down Part 2. And they notice that a small group of Morath soldiers are headed towards a giant dam, which, side note, not sure if I've ever told anyone, I have an irrational fear of giant bodies of water contained by walls. Not natural.
That's
not
fair.
natural.
I don't think that's irrational. They're fucking terrifying.
They are. Yeah.
So, yeah, look, this dam wasn't mentioned before, but it would wipe away the city just entirely. if the dam broke.
Who was like, hey, this is a great spot to build this city?
They didn't
Exactly
have the
right.
architectural plans because Lorcan had them.
Bastard. Now these fucking soldiers are trying to break down the dam and they're not even going to care about their own soldiers because they're cunts. Nezrin and Sartak fly for the dam. They do stop them, but they've already done enough damage. So not great at all.
Not all gravy, baby, that's for sure. Gavriel and Lorcan are taking down the siege towers. They'll likely win the field soon, which is good. Gavriel goes to help Kael. Lorcan feels the god of death pushing him to fight.
Lovely.
That's good. And he's like, don't leave the field. Don't. You should go and cause yourself serious harm. And so he does that. He realizes that no one will bother about him when the battle is over. So he lowers his magical shields and goes, take me as I am. Here's my asshole.
Such a fucking martyr.
Raw dog, my asshole.
That's exactly
It's how
what
I
they
want
do.
to go.
And
Fill
that's what
me
they
with
do
your
too.
seed.
And that's what happens. He gets a slice to his back and to his stomach, and then blackness. Yeah, so that's good. At the end of the day, they're comparing deaths. They're like, oh, he's got the most dead today. It's from Kael's army. No one is surprised. Nezrin and Sartak arrive. The dam has been very, very badly damaged, and it will burst at any moment. Awesome. They
Good.
need to evacuate. There's the sirens.
Attention passengers. We now need you to move swiftly to the exits highlighted in the lights flashing yellow. Leave all your baggage stowed in the overhead lockers.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh my god. A lead interrupts their war council and asks where the fuck Lorcan is. No one really cares, and that's fair enough. But she does. She thinks of the promise she made him. I will always find you. And so she's like, well, it's time for me to get this leg hobbling. Let's go. We get this little quote. Aelin managed all of 5 limping steps towards the open gate before she knew it would be impossible to cross that field. To find him on the endless plain before that dam burst and he was swept away. Before he was gone forever. He was not dead. He was not dead. I will always find you. Beautiful.
Oh.
She sees Butterfly, Kael's horse, trying to be handled by one of the horse people. But obviously, Butterfly, we know what it's like.
Butterfly's a cunt.
Butterfly's a cunt. She's like, no, stop it, handler, let me. Butterfly recognizes her as...
A powerful bitch.
She tells this horse that even though she's trying to buck and go crazy, that she needs her. All right? And stop being a little fucking cunt and take me to find my giant humping machine. Okay?
Yeah, no, she's whispered into the horse's ear, you're my butterfly. Sugar, baby.
The horse basically like bows its head to give her permission to mount her, and then they run into the battlefield.
Rowan decides not to go out and rescue Lorcan because he will die too, and one life is better than multiple. The math is mathing. So they just leave a lead going out there. They're all watching her and go like, oh, fuck, at least she's not running.
Oh,
and
God.
Aelin has gone. Aelin has gone like into herself again, like she's not even talking, she's just staring. And then we're in the lead's point of view as she's racing, screaming Lorcan's name, trying to find him. Yrene makes it to the war council when they see a lead like going. We get this quote, which is, Hellas guards Lorcan, Fenris murmured, and beneath his consort watches over a lead. Perhaps they will find each other. Hellas' horse, Kael said. They turned toward him, dragging their eyes from the field. Kael shook his head and gestured to the field, to the black mare and her rider. I call for Rasha, Hela's horse. I've done so from the moment I met her.
Oh. So she finds him and he's fucked. You know, his guts are just hanging on out there. His bones are visible on his back. Not a great start. She helps him and tells him to get the fuck in the saddle. And he's like, can you not see the bones protruding from my back, small human? I cannot get the fuck into the saddle. But we do have a quote. I promised to always find you. I promised you and you promised me. I came for you because of it. I am here because of it. I am here for you so you understand. Screaming. Like, here we go. So they managed to barely get Lorcan up. She fucks her ankle again. Even more, which, brilliant. Okay, we love it. But then she's running and leaping onto the saddle herself, which I'm like, no, mathematically, this does not compute. SJM, it does not compute. She got 5 steps onto that field and realised it would be impossible on that ankle. And here she is, hoisting up a man 4 times her size with guts hanging out onto a horse, and she's just eating herself up on top.
It's the power of the pussy.
The
The power of the pussy compels you to run and jump onto a horse.
Yeah.
To vault on top of a horse. Fair enough. Must
She
be.
actually decides last minute, no, this isn't going to work, and is like, good luck.
Best of luck to you.
Hope you can swim. Bye. So then they go as fast as they can.
You can't catch me on the gingerbread man.
Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Back to the gate. We have a quote. She had come for him, had found him. Somehow on this endless battlefield, his name on her lips had been a summons he could never deny. Even when death had held him so gently, nestled beneath all of those he felled, and waited for his last breaths.
I fucking love that quote.
Stunning.
His name on her lips had been a summons he could never deny. Oh!
We're absolutely screaming. They need to go as fast as they can because Lorcan is struggling to stay alive. He tells the lead that she needs to let him go. I love you, he whispered in a lead's ear. I have loved you from the moment you picked up that axe to slay the Ilkin, and I will be with you. I will be with you always. And she's like, no, not today, Satan. Not today. She grabs his arm and is like, absolutely the fuck not. She tells Butterfly to fly away. And the horse charges so fast. But then the dam ruptures. My worst nightmare.
Ellie's actually pretending to be dead again.
She's starfished already. She's in preparation starfishing. Everyone is watching this all unfold from the castle, except for Aelin. We've lost her. Where has she gone?
And this is, again, like a phenomenal scene. It is absolutely glorious. Vorte basically carries Aelin out on her rook and drops her in the middle of the battlefield. She does like an awesome commando roll land thing, superhero landing. It's awesome. And then we have this moment right in the path of that wave. Oh gods, Fenris breathed, seeing her too. They all saw her, the queen on the plain, the endless wall of water surging for her. The keep stones began shuddering. Rowan threw out a hand to brace himself, a fear like nothing he had known ripping through him. As Aelin lifted her arms above her head, a pillar of fire shot up and around her, lifting her hair with it. The wave roared and roared for her, for the army behind her. The shaking in the keep was not from the wave. It was not from the wall of water at all. He knew then, either as her mate or Karanam, he knew. 3 months, Rowan breathed. The others stilled. 3 months, he said again, his knees wobbling. She's been making the descent into her power for 3 months. Every day she had been with Maeve, bound in iron, she had gone deeper, and she had not tapped too far into the power since they'd freed her because she had kept making the plunge to gather up the full might of her magic, not for the lock, not for Erewhon, but for Maeve's death blow. Whoa! Oh my god! Rowan
Amazing.
is like, everyone get the fuck down. And Aelin unleashes her magic and literally stops a tsunami.
I realise, like, my notes don't go into a lot of detail here, but it's like a mixture. Like, he ends up, like...
He has to shield everyone else that she's trying to save because the steam from her fire hitting the fucking tsunami is, like, ready to shed skin from bone.
Yeah, look, they're working in tandem. It's great. I've popped my head up from where I had crouched to save
Like,
myself.
I don't have to pretend to be dead?
Yeah,
Like,
okay, all right.
You actually put your arms up, and you're like, look at me, I'm helping.
Well, that's where we're going to leave part 2 of Kingdom of Ash. We'll be back next week with part 3, and so that's chapter 62 onwards. There will be a part 4, and that will be our final episode for the year. We now have song references. Remember, we're doing things differently for Kingdom of Ash. You're getting it with each part.
And we're all doing a contribution effort.
Yeah.
We are.
So, we have a song reference from moi. It's actually a song called Gilded Lily, and it is by Cults and Offering, and it's a very intense song.
As we've said throughout this episode, it is, in summary, Aelin has given a fucking enough.
That's exactly right. And it's that moment where she's basically like to Rowan, I'm so fucking tired. Like, I am so fucking tired. And I've got the lyrics for you here, so get ready. Now it's been long enough to talk about it. I've started not to doubt it, just wrap my head around it. I remember when you told me it's an everyday decision, but with my double vision, how was I supposed to see the way? Haven't I given enough? Given enough? Haven't I given enough? Given enough? Haven't I given enough? given enough, so forth. You get the picture. And it's stunning, it's beautiful, and it's painful. And, like, the song itself as well, the chorus, if you just literally go to the chorus of that song, even the sped up version of that song, it's so, like, destruction of the brain.
Literally. It's perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
It is.
So then we have 4 fan art references for you for part 2. We've got by Theclever.crow, Elite and Lorcan on Farasha, and also by Lilac_art, Elite and Lorcan on Farasha as well. That whole scene is just phenomenal.
Both of those artworks.
Although the BAPs are not big enough for me, but that's okay.
Look, that is something that is severely lacking in Elite fan art is attention to her BAPs, and we need that. We then have a Minorian artwork by Mellenddraws. Then we've got Bloodydamnit, which is Manon and Abraxos.
That is one of my favourites.
It's a phenomenal artwork.
It's so good. Lifelike. It's Manon looks so fucking hot.
I love that the witch's letters just has like a cutout, so it's like, here, look at the boobs.
Just tits.
Yeah, today.
That's why I like it, because I love boobs.
And that is where we are leaving this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe. Rate us on YouTube and on Spotify. We've just had our Spotify Wrapped came out, and we had amazing feedback from all you guys. You are just lovely, beautiful people. And we
very emotional.
It was. Alrighty. Bye, bitches. Can't think of anything else.
Bye, bitches. See
Bye,
you on
bitches.
the flip side later.